Donald Trump is busted. Donald Trump is always talking about how successful he is and how magnanimous he is and what a great business he's built. And now we'll be able to see or get, hopefully, a little insight, because we can't get his tax returns, but at least we could see examples and get a little insight on how he makes his businesses successful. He uses other people's money. Now, he spoke earlier about creating an OPM organization in order to, I guess, create settlements in the Middle East to resettle the Syrian people back to their homeland. The OPM, other people's money. He's talking about getting money from countries like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, etc., and using other people's money, not U.S. money now, but other people's money in order to do this. Well, here's a domestic example of Donald Trump using other people's money to pay his bills.
Welcome back. Exhaustive reporting by the Washington Post's David Fahrenthold is raising a new round of questions about Donald Trump's charitable foundation and possible violations of tax law. Front page story in today's paper detailing 4 expenditures by the foundation totaling $258,000, most of the money reportedly used to settle lawsuits involving Trump's for-profit businesses. Among the deals, a $158,000 settlement to a golfer who made $1 million hole-in-one during a charity tournament at a Trump golf course, and a $100,000 donation to a charity for veterans to settle a dispute over the height of a flag with Palm Beach, Florida town officials over Mar-a-Lago.
Now, that's the height of hypocrisy. Donald Trump advertises that he will pay $1 million for a hole-in-one at his golf course. Person hits a hole-in-one, and as usual, he don't want to pay. So after going back and forth with this guy, the guy finally takes 15% of what he's due, and he takes that 15% in the form of a charitable contribution. Now, this is a liability that the golf course owes, not the charitable foundation. But Donald Trump instructed the charitable foundation to issue a check to the hole-in-one prize winners designated charity. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. That is the charitable organization settling a for-profit business's liability. Illegal.
Matt Fahrenthold joins me now. David, you've been doing all of this reporting and uncovered all of this. Explain to our viewers what self-dealing is and why self-dealing is not, according to tax law, an appropriate way to use a private foundation's money.
Sure. The self-dealing rule basically says that if you are the manager, or the president, as Trump is in this case, of a charitable foundation, that you can't just take the money out of the foundation and spend it on yourself. You can't use it to buy things for yourself, and you can't use it to do things that benefit your businesses. You have to use it for what they call disinterested charity. And in this case, we're talking about a couple of cases worth more than $250,000 where Trump seems to have his businesses agreed to make a payment to charity. And instead of the businesses making the payment, the Trump Foundation took on that responsibility and made the payments for them, effectively saving his businesses $250,000+.
Now, this is a private family foundation, very different from the Clinton Foundation and other major foundations. Describe those differences so that people understand what kind of charity the Trump Foundation is.
Sure. There are 2 basic kinds of charities, and one is, as you said, a private foundation. Those are typically very small. They don't employ anybody or employ just a couple of people. They're ways for rich people to put their money in a big pool and then give that pool away in pieces to charities. So Trump has one of those. That's the Trump Foundation, which was originally his money, but no longer is. And then the Clintons have one too called the Clinton Family Foundation. It's just a bank account basically that they put millions of dollars in and then they give away to other charities. The more famous Clinton Foundation is a public charity like the Red Cross, the American Cancer Society. It's a really big charity that employs a lot of people. In the case of the Clinton Foundation, more than 2,000 people, and it has a big budget, $250 million plus a year. It does a lot of its own charitable work. It employs people to do charitable work, and so it's not surprising that other people, that the public would give money to the Clinton Foundation, that it would have donors beyond just the Clintons themselves. What is unusual is for a private foundation like Trump's to have donors other than the guy whose name is on the foundation.
And he has not put money into his own family foundation in quite some time.
Since 2008, that's right.
And I wanted to play a bit of Mike Pence, the running mate, of course, on the 11th hour with Brian Williams last night, where Brian was trying to pin him down on this very fact based on your stories.
I think what we found is that there's a number of factual errors in that story, as there were in previous stories about the Trump Foundation.
Do you know what the factual errors are that the campaign is alleging in the Washington Post story?
Well, I think the foundation will be able to lay those out. There were errors in the previous Washington Post stories.
Which they have yet to lay out for us, the errors that they are claiming. Tell us about the portrait that you found, the $10,000 Donald Trump portrait, which was, you say, paid for out of the charity?
That's right. As I said earlier, you can't use, if you're the foundation's manager or president, you can't use the money in the foundation to buy things for yourself or for your businesses. So, in 2014, Trump goes to a charity gala at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. And one of the things that they're doing at that gala is auctioning off art. The artist comes and has painted a picture of Trump himself. It's 4 feet tall, and Trump buys it in the auction for $10,000. Now that's fine. That's a completely fine thing to do, except that Trump then takes, when he gets the painting, he pays for it, not out of his own pocket, but out of the Trump Foundation. He pays $10,000 out of this charity. Well, now the charity owns it, and the IRS rules say that the charity has to use that painting for something charitable. You can't just hang it on Trump's office or in one of Trump's businesses. So we didn't know for a while, because the Trump campaign wouldn't tell us, where that painting had gone. It's important to know, as I said, what use Trump has put it to. Until last night, Enrique Acevedo, a guy who is an anchor for Univision in Miami, booked a room, drove over there last night to Doral. We get some tips that the painting might be at Trump's Doral golf resort. He went in, got a maintenance person to let him in the Champions Bar and Grill, and lo and behold, there is Trump's $10,000 portrait. Now, unless the Champions Bar and Grill is actually a soup kitchen or some kind of charity, that's not a permissible use of something that the charity bought.
Are there legal?
Do you know the term smoking gun? Do you know the term smoking gun? Let me ask you a third time. Do you know the term smoking gun? They took a picture of that painting hanging inside of the bar and grill inside of a for-profit business golf course, obviously fairly private golf course. I really want to hear the defense on this one.
Implications, briefly, is there a legal exposure here?
Certainly, the IRS could force him to pay back the money that the charity spent improperly. It could also put tax penalties on Trump, or it could even take away the nonprofit status of the Trump Foundation.
And of course, we have yet to see his tax returns. That's another whole issue. Thank you very much, David Farenthal. Extraordinary reporting, and we look forward to your next reporting, your next piece in this saga. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton.
I don't know about you folks, but I vote for stripping them of the nonprofit status, and then let's see what they do.